Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning, Syndicate members. Man, I hope you guys are doing fantastic. It's live from Austin, Texas, a little after 9 a.m. We're a little delayed today. We had some technical problems, but we're here and we're ready for Winning on Wednesday. We thank you for tuning in. We got an awesome show for you. I guarantee it. And I'll let my buddy over here cue it up.
No, I'm excited, man. That's I think that actually, well, you guys know I played softball last night, so I've got to share. That's got to be my weekly win. If Amar's watching this, I got more compliments from Amar last night, so I am getting better. Which, if any of you guys know Amar, he's good. He freaking killed it last night too. So no, it's been an amazing week. I am very excited for this show. I was just talking about it backstage. Dave was actually our first ever, and you go back and look at it, it's our first ever published YouTube video on our Insurance Syndicate YouTube channel. If you haven't gone to check that out, subscribe, make sure and do that. But it's so funny looking at the quality of me, and just again, it's my 3 a.m. at 7-Eleven, as David Carruthers put it. But it's really cool to see full circle, right? And even just the fact that it's like, we've now been doing this show, even though that was our first published video on YouTube. I mean, we've been doing the show for almost 2 years, every Wednesday. So it's pretty freaking wild. And that's probably got to be my weekly win. It's just the show, but then all the conversations and the relationships that I get. That's why I kind of like this one, is that it's coming full circle, like over a year later, and just getting to see where we're at personally, Tony, but even where Dave's at and everything he's got going. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Man.
I am too, man. This is gonna be a great show.
What's the weekly win though? Because you were just talking about it.
The weekly win is easy, and I actually posted about it last night. But if any of you guys saw my Tuesday training that I did yesterday with my buddy Eric Fierro, we were going through his DFY CRM and some of the different automations, and then how to use ChatGPT better and how to become a better prompt engineer, and then certainly incorporating ChatGPT into your messenger bots. Whether it's Facebook Messenger, SMS text, your WhatsApp Messenger, Instagram Messenger, Google My Business Message, whatever, all of them work. So I finally got mine completed and set up yesterday. Had to do some testing with Eric. We got it done about 7 p.m. I finally walked out of the office. It was done. It was tested. It was working. And then it was just waiting. And then I hit my boxing workout, and then I go for a walk around my neighborhood, and bing, I look down at 8:30 and I've got an appointment set already. So it only took me an hour and a half to bring in the first lead, the first appointment already set. That dude's on the schedule for today, and we're probably going to close the sale right there. So super
great
pumped.
show.
I mean, we're basically generating Spanish-speaking T65 leads through Facebook for about $4.18 a pop. And then now they're running into a chat bot that's automatically scheduling appointments for us. So it's hard to beat that for a weekly win.
Right. It's like, Now, all that to say, though, guys, right? They still have to work, and they still have to make the appointment and actually close, right? The AI doesn't do everything for you. But that's pretty freaking sick because you get to at that point, you wake up to appointments once it really starts going, right? So that's awesome.
Yes,
that was a great show. Anybody that hasn't checked that out, make sure and go check it out. Tuesday training. It is pinned to the top of the group. Really good show with Eric Fierro yesterday, so make sure and check that out. And again, speaking of good shows, and I'm just going to go ahead and bring him on because he's got the crispiest freaking camera out there. But we've got Mr. Dave Williams on the show with us. How are you this morning, my man?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
If I was doing any better, I'd
amazing.
fall down in fits.
Good. Same here, man. Love it.
Hey,
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Dude. Thanks for joining
Anybody
us.
that's watching, put in the comments that Dave, if this is the crispiest video you've ever seen on a podcast, which is Dave, go ahead and put that in the comments, because I've been on a lot of podcasts. Best camera quality I've seen. It looks so freaking crisp. I'm like, damn, Tony, we got some work to do. I don't know if we're gonna have.
Look at that! He's got multiple cameras working already. Look at that background.
Dang, that's
Good
pretty
stuff,
sick,
brother.
Thank you.
Goals.
I can't wait to dive into what all that's about. The whole Elevate experience. We'll get into that for sure. We'll get into that for sure. But if you don't mind, just take a quick moment, introduce yourself to the group. I mean, you've been here before, but it's been almost a couple of years now, I guess. So, just take a moment and let everybody know what's up with Dave Williams.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, my name is David Williams. Obviously, I have a big background in the insurance agency industry, which I'm going to get into here momentarily. And then the Elevate experience, I'll talk about a little bit later in this too, because really I could use everybody's help when it comes to Elevate experience. This is a passion project of mine for impacting youth, families, and youth. So we're putting together the first of its kind ever mastermind for families and kids to learn the things they're not teaching enough in school today. As a new dad, I was super concerned where education was heading in this country. So I rallied behind it, got some of the best speakers in the world together to get behind the project, from Eric Thomas to Tim Storey to Dave Meltzer, a lot of people that are going to be behind it. And what we're putting on, where we need help, and I'll get into it later, but I'll throw it out there for all the listeners right now, is on August 18th and the 19th, we are doing a free, completely free live event, and we could use as many people there because we're trying to make history, and we need as many bodies there as possible, as many kids, adults, family members logging in. And it's the 18th, 19th, starting at 3 p.m. And then on the 19th at 3 p.m., Eric Thomas is kicking it off, and we have a officiator from Guinness World Records there, and we're looking to set a Guinness World Record for financial literacy for youth. And everybody that shows up and logs in, even if you can just hang out for 20 minutes, for showing up, going to www.elevate.kids, registering in the Guinness World Record database, joining the call, you'll actually get your name stamped in history with a Guinness World Record certificate, and helping us,
that's sick.
Impact some lives.
Go.
Yeah.
You guys talk about a win, baby. Let's go.
Let's make sure we get that promoted in the group after this as well. Like whatever link we need and dates, etc. We'll get that in there for you.
Yeah, that'd be absolutely amazing. But I'll take you guys all the way back. That kind of shows you my whole purpose and why behind this, I guess. So I'll take it back to when Dave Williams was just a young kid. So I grew up, and growing up, I guess you could say I faced a lot of labels and adversity. So growing up, I was labeled with severe learning disabilities. I was told that I wasn't going to amount to much unless I took up a trade in life, and not knocking trades, but that's just kind of this box I was cast within. And then, growing up as a kid, I was a little bit different and bullied a bit in school. So, I faced all of this, but luckily had great parents. And I guess you could say my parents were my very first mentors. They helped me through that. They didn't allow people to medicate me like they wanted to, and push through and really kind of work through some of those things as I was growing up as a young kid in school. And as a young kid in school, they say you're the average of the 5 people, the 5 friends you surround yourself with the most. But as a real young kid, didn't even have those 5 friends, right? So I decided to pour myself into something, which was the game of baseball. And I had a brother that went down the wrong path. He's unfortunately no longer with us, which inspired this program to try to impact youth from going down the path that my brother did. And my parents really took that to heart. They wanted to make sure with certainty that myself and my sister didn't follow in my brother's footsteps, going down the wrong path, hanging around the wrong people, because they already had their hands full trying to get him back on the right track. And so my dad and my parents, I'll tell you, they were my heroes. try not to get emotional talking about it, but
Good, man.
they were my heroes because my dad had 2 businesses as an entrepreneur, worked around the clock, never did anything for himself, never bought new clothes, never took vacations, never saved for retirement. And he did it just so that he could work 7 days a week in both of his businesses. One was a gutter business, one was a snow plowing business. Just afford the things they couldn't afford. Get private baseball lessons for me, singing and dancing lessons for my sister to keep us extremely busy. So we had a purpose, and we couldn't get into trouble. So I was always super grateful for that. And I watched my dad's work ethic. And I think really quickly, as my first kind of mentor in life, I realized that one of the ways I could close the gap, because when it came to the game of baseball, I didn't have a lot of God-given talent. When it came to academics, I struggled learning, had these learning disabilities. So it was like almost everything in my life, I had to work 10x harder than everybody else just to operate at the level that everybody else operated at. I had to put so much effort in just to be a C student in school, when some kids would be effortless and they'd be A students. I had to be so much effort in when I would just love the game of baseball so much, and I would see kids come in effortlessly, not even put practice, and just crushing it. And then here I was, again, not with the God-given talent, but when I watched my dad, and he taught me a lot about work ethic. And again, he was my first mentor. He put me in a baseball coach with private lessons, and that was my next mentor in life, Coach Tillinghast. And luckily for me, I was fortunate where he had a lot of similar beliefs and value systems as my parents did. And I think that's why they chose to put me in there. And he taught me principles like hard work beats talent when talent doesn't want to work hard. So here I am as a kid. Now I'm getting that principle reinforced with me. And I started to realize very quickly the way I could chase the other kids and close the gap is outwork every single one of them and outwork everybody into the room. And that's exactly what I did. I would come in and just hit in the batting cages till my hands bled, and I would practice and practice and practice and practice and put in the work that other kids weren't doing. Didn't happen overnight, but eventually overnight that gap started to narrow and narrow and narrow. So eventually I ended up, when most people didn't, I ended up living my dream. My high school year, I batted .420. I had some scouts come take a look at me, and I ended up playing college baseball. Even college baseball didn't come easy. So I came into college baseball. There was still a lot of guys that had more talent than I. But what I do again, the workouts were relentless. Like we were up 4:35 every morning. They put a garbage can out because they ran us so hard that everybody would get sick. I poured all in the baseball while other people were going out partying and they couldn't hack it. I made it through the 6-week tryouts. It was one of the few people standing, ended up making the college team, and it was the same kind of theme that I just made sure to outwork everybody in the room to try to close the gap between talent that I lacked and talent that they had. So I did that, and then, life happened. My dream was I wanted to play professional baseball, and life, we know, always doesn't go the way we want it to. Ended up hurting my arm. That dream came to an end pretty quickly after about a year playing college baseball. Then I had to figure out life. What am I going to do next? And that's when I had, my parents told me, if you live under our roof, one of two things got to happen. You're either in school or you're working. So I had to get out in the workforce, and I thought, where am I going to go? Where am I going to go to work? I had no idea. I didn't think about it. My mindset as a young man was I was going to play pro ball. No other options. So I thought back into my labels, right? Because teachers told me, well, to be successful, you got to have a trade. And they kind of led me down this road, and nothing knocking tool and die, but I did tool and die. Came out, and I just wasn't passionate about it. I didn't have a heart for it. So I went in and I asked for help. Had a friend that worked at Circuit City. Hey, can you get me a temporary job? My parents are on my back. I need to go to work, and I got to figure out what I'm going to do for a career. What I felt at the moment was going to be temporary turned out to be the beginning of my professional career. And that's where I met my next mentor in life. O. Zangan was a district manager, took me under his wings. It was actually kind of funny because I applied for a job initially. They were hiring car stereo installers. And that really wasn't my thing either, but they had me apply for that because that was the position that was open. And during my interview, I kid you not, I think this was God's design to say, Dave, you got to go a different direction. My buddy came into Circuit City to get his car fixed that I did a hack job on putting a stereo in. And like, I'm literally interviewing for the position and they're looking at my work and they're like, you did this? They're like, well, you can't do that. But the good news is you passed the assessment with flying colors for sales. Would you entertain a sales job? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So I thought I was starting over at the time, but little did I know, I was actually taking everything that I built, this foundation of work ethic that I got taught in school and in baseball by my mentors and my parents. That just like came out instinctively. And then when I did at Circuit City, people were hanging out, going out the night before. People were just, lackadaisical in there. I want to make money. And I came in really quickly. I trained hard and became one of the top salespeople in the entire company. And then my district manager saw my ambition, ended up becoming one of the youngest store managers in Circuit City history at the age of 21 years old. I ran a $24 million superstore. So I came in and I got thrown into the fire. So I never led people, never trained people. And that's where I got a lot of my business acumen early on in my career, is going under the wings of my district manager. And again, it was a thing where I was with all the other store managers that, they came from big box places. They had years of retail experience, leadership experience. And here I was again, the talent gap is over here and they're over here. So what did I do instinctively? The only thing I knew how to do is I outworked and ran circles around every single one of them, quickly became very proficient, started to run one of the number one stores in the entire region in the company. And then they labeled me as Mr. Fix-It. And they would basically take me and put me in every Circuit City store, because every one that they would put me in from a metric standpoint would explode when it comes to warranties. The culture would explode. And they would kind of, as fast as I got things going, it was fun, but also frustrating, because I would build this culture, I'd build this team and a family, and they're like, oh, good job doing that. We're going to put you over to this other one it's burning to the ground as we speak, and have fun. And,
right.
So I go over and do that. And then here I'm on a fast track in my career. And then all of a sudden they're recognizing that. And I got elevated even further. And I became on a corporate innovation team with Circuit City, helping come up with new business concepts for the company. And then all of a sudden, another setback. So we're talking a lot about setbacks here in life. And I think it's important to do that, because on the other side of every setback, I believe, is the biggest comeback of your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for me, my setback was my health this time, which was my first encounter with health challenges. And it was scary, because I woke up, I started to feel immense back pain. Couldn't figure out what was going on. It kept getting worse and worse. It was becoming debilitating. And then one day I woke up and I couldn't walk. My ankles were swollen like balloons. My toes, inflammation was running through my body so hot. I could barely operate. I was coming in to work on crutches. And then eventually they're like, listen, you got to go on disability and get yourself well. So that's what I did. Started going to doctors. They diagnosed me with a severe autoimmune condition I still deal with to this day, ankylosing spondylitis. And I've got it a lot better under control now. But ankylosing spondylitis, and doctors were telling me, well, most people with what you have, Dave, they end up on long-term disability in life. So just prepare for that, because you're probably not going to leave a long life in retail. But I knew deep down that wasn't the life. I didn't want an almost life. As a good mentor of mine likes to say, I wanted to live an utmost life. I wanted to be more. I felt like I had a duty and responsibility to my wife to provide, to my future family, my kids I knew I was going to have. And my dad and my mom, my heroes, right? So they did everything, gave up everything, and sacrificed for me. And I saw them on this trajectory to head to retirement, where they're just going to depend on Social Security, which is poverty. $800 a month for my mom, $1,200 for my dad, and that's it to live off of, because they gave their lives for us. So I knew in the moment that I had to be the one. I had to be the one that changed the trajectory of my family tree, and went after wealth and solved that money problem. So what I did something crazy. I'm off of work on disability, and I wrote myself out a check for $1 million. I put it in a frame. I'm like, I'm going to look at it every day. And it wasn't about the money, but what it was about, it was my vehicle to a better life. Because I knew if I could cash that check, I'm not going to be stuck in retail on my feet anymore. Dealing with this, health challenges. I could go against the grain, what my doctors were trying to put me in, this life of mediocrity. And I could take care of my wife to where she deserved to be taken care of. I could take care of my parents and be their hero, take them on the vacations that they deserve to take later on, get them a new car, all that stuff. So I wrote out the check, but I had no idea how I was going to do it, right? That was the next challenge. I'm like, awesome, I got the check, but I'm broke. So I had to force myself to come back to work at 6-month mark. They're going to terminate my job, even though my health wasn't ready. I come back and I'm in a dire financial position because I didn't get paid for 6 months. And here I am, broke, still struggling with health, trying to get back momentum. And then 90 days later, like, the unthinkable happened again. All of a sudden, a customer walks in the Circuit City store and says, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, well, what are you sorry about? What do you mean? Well, you didn't hear? It's all over the news. Like Circuit City, I look on the news. I found out through a customer, Circuit City was going Chapter 11, laying off 25,000 people. So, like, I was shook. No idea what I was going to do because my health is uncertain. My financial outlook is uncertain. And my career that I thought I was going to, be a district manager, regional manager, just keep moving up the ranks, is gone. It's obliterated. And go back to doctors and they're like, hey, maybe it's a sign, you got to go on that, disability. There's no shame in that. But for me, there was shame in that. And I knew I wanted more. So I kept looking at that check and I prayed on it. And I believe faith is a huge thing in me. My dad brought me up with faith, real religious man. So I've always walked in faith as I've walked through adversity in life, and I prayed on it. And then I believe that, sometimes we pray and we think God is going to just poof, make our life better. And that happens. Miracles happen in life, but I think more times than not, God recognizes our capabilities and he provides us opportunities that are congruent with them. And he expects us to step into his blessing. And that's exactly what happened. He answered my prayers through connecting me to a friend of the family at the time that was running an Allstate insurance agency. And he was doing well. And it was my first introduction to passive income. Mailbox money, make money in your sleep. Obviously, you got to build the business first. But he was doing well. And then as long as he maintained his clients, he was still getting paid. I'm like, sign me up. That sounds like what I need with my circumstances. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to pray on it some more. And then there was nothing more affirming than I walked in one day and there was 20 feet away from Circuit City. There was a independent agency that went out of business. They just took down the shingle. It was across from a DMV. And here it is this empty shell already built out for an insurance agency. I'm like, that's me. I took a picture of it, told my wife, here's the answer. This is what I'm going to do. So what did everybody do? Everybody gave me labels again. Dave, you're fail. Dave, you're sick. Most businesses fail and you're sick. You can't do this. If anything, go work for somebody first. And I knew, you know what? I was going to trust God. He hasn't steered me wrong yet. And I was going to trust the ornate ability that I had to freaking work incredibly hard. And I'm going to go for it. I'm going to figure it out. Only problem was, obviously, to start an insurance agency, you need capital. Here I am. I'm broke. So I prayed on it some more. And then through a twist of fate, I walk into Circuit City one day and liquidators came in and they say, David, we need to get rid of all the open merchandise, pennies in the dollar, whatever you can get. And it was almost as if like, it wasn't even my own words. God gave me the words to speak and it was a reflex. And I just said, well, what if I just made it easy on you? And I bought up all the inventory from every Circuit City store within 4 hours of here. They agreed. I took the last $7,000 to my name out of my 401k, and I bought up $70,000 worth of electronics. I don't even think I told my wife at the time. She found out by coming home from work. She worked in retail at Victoria's Secret, and she no longer had a living room because I had proceeded to fill the living room with TV system, Bose systems, and I took it all, like remotes, cables, like anything that I could see that I could find value. I had just bins and totes and everything. she comes home and is like, well, Dave, what's going on? I'm like, I'm figuring it out. Trust me. She's like, all right, you haven't steered me wrong yet, so I'll trust you. Just when am I going to get my living room back? So I bought all the like gondolas from Circuit City, like merchandise racks, and I built like a whole organizational system in the basement, had everything cataloged, inventory, started to arbitrage it on eBay. While I was getting my insurance license at night, running the store, getting the liquidation done during the day, I started selling everything on eBay. I paid off my debt. I raised the capital I needed to start my first scratch agency. And then,
epic.
Only thing, that was back in the day when the minimum entry point was 25 grand. 25 grand does not go far at all. And I was starting to pay lease deposits. I had to hire 2 people. I hired 2 people that lost their job with me at Circuit City. And now I'm watching the bank account dwindle, and I'm literally 60 days away. If I don't hit the ground running with revenue, I'll be out of business before my next venture and dream even starts. So I remember going down to class. I drove a beater with no air conditioning Impala down there. I even shared it with somebody so we could share in the gas that was going, with me to class in Hauppauge. And then I slept on my sister's floor on an air mattress while her and her roommates fought over the air conditioning bill. And there was a strike. This is like the dead heat of summer. It's like 100 degrees. It's like, and there's like a strike going on in her house over the air conditioning where they're like, the outlets are taped and nobody's got the AC on. So I'm waking up trying to do my hair and I'm like pouring sweat every day. And I'm going in. I got through class and then boom, here's day one. I'm going to start up. I'm excited, but I'm scared at the same time. And so all of a sudden I go in and the trainer's like, hey, the first couple weeks we're going to train and you can sell. And I'm like, well, you got that backwards because I don't got the money to like the luxury to learn for 2 weeks. I need to sell now. And you just need to show me what I'm doing because I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm going to sell. And then you teach me while I'm selling. So I immediately started going out and pulling people out of the line of the DMV. I'll remember my first customer to this day until I exited my insurance agency and sold it, stayed with me, Geraldo Hernandez. And it took me 4 hours to write Geraldo Hernandez's policies that should have taken 30 minutes or so because I had no idea what I was doing. I'm in this DOS-based system and just trying to figure it out. But I knew how to sell. I knew how to get people. I knew how to have conversations. And what I did is I set the tone for the rest of my team, and I just acted as if somebody was trying to take it away from me 24/7 because realistically, that was my reality. And I think, sometimes we talk about in life, well, oh, Dave, how did you, people ask me, well, why did you take that risk? What forced you to take that risk? Sometimes fear stops you, but it was actually fear that caused me to do it because I was in this pivotal moment. I probably would have stayed in retail. My life is on the line, and the fear of living an almost life over an utmost life was far greater than the fear of failure of starting up a venture. So because of that, it led me in, and I believe in life we can define fear one of 2 ways is forget everything and run or face everything and rise. And in that moment, I just chose to rise. Like I wanted something more.
Yes.
And I came in very quickly. Our first month, we crushed it, started to build some momentum. Fast forward, ended up building it to a $20 million reoccurring revenue business, multiple locations, up to 50 employees at one point, had all my team members on a development plan to own their own agency, and ended up exiting that business, selling off to all of our team members. And you might be wondering too, like when it came to that check, well, I cashed that check 6 months earlier to my goal. I wanted to do it by 35. I cashed that check at 34.5 along the way in the journey, and I did become my hero's hero. So
awesome, dude. And I want real quick, because I see, dude, and honestly, this is as much a treat for me as it is for all of our listeners. Like I'm seeing the comments. I don't know if you're seeing those all day, but like you're inspiring right now. I want to take a second for encouragement because it's something I want to go back to what you first started with, right? I think like what you were saying, you were very blessed and fortunate to have, the family and the parents that you did and the mentorship you did at a young age. And I want to stay on the point of young age, right? Where it's like, hey, a lot of us come into this industry and we are just not great, like just randomly talented, right? at insurance, right? And so I kind of wanted to apply it to the industry is that you can, when Dave's talking about young, yeah, he was young in age, but we have a lot of people in this group that are young in the industry, right? And like anybody, and if you guys are listening, what is one thing like that you can do when you are young in this industry, right? If you're not hearing it through this, I don't know how you're going to hear it. Work freaking hard, right? And it's never, I wrote down, it starts at a young age in this industry, but it's never too late to work hard, right? And even though, hey, you know what, I wasn't raised that way. I didn't start when I was 6 years old and always had to work. And I always had to work for everything too. That's how we were raised. But you can start now, y'all. And I want to just take this time to really encourage you. You can level up your work ethic, right? If you're not where Tony is and you want to have what Tony has, you got to do what he does, right, to get what they have. And so just increase that work ethic, increase that work level, because it is never too late to get that going. And that was just one thing that really resonated with me, Dave, is that,
absolutely.
you know, some of us were not blessed like that, right? And I know that I was too, whereas like my first mentors. And I think the other point on that, and then I'll kind of shut up because I just want you to keep going, man, is that there's always somebody watching. Right. And even you kind of, obviously as a parent, you see, you know, your kid is always watching. Right. But I think it also goes into really leadership within this industry, is we're really just leadership in business and in life. There is somebody that's looking to you, right, is watching what you're doing. How hard are you working? Right. Are you cutting corners? What are you doing to make money? Right. All those things. I think that's very important because we associate that with children, which obviously there is kid, like they are looking at what we're doing, guys. But I think it also applies to your peers and your colleagues as well.
Absolutely.
So, and I'll say something real quick on the comment you just made. Everybody's always watching, right? I believe, you know, I'll say on this real quick. Like, as a country, we're more divided than we've ever been, and we're in trouble as a country. And you look at where we stand, and I believe the cure is exactly what you said. Everybody is watching. If every one of us step up and insist on personal excellence in every area of our life, from our health to our wealth to how we impact and how we love our neighbor, what that's going to do is that is going to set the example. That's going to set the tone, and it's going to create an environment where everybody needs to also step up and rise too. And it's going to very quickly come together.
Absolutely.
And I really, think too, like to your point, mentors, what do you do? Come in and work hard, but it's working very hard, but it's also working with intention. And I think in order to work hard, you have to have a purpose and a passion, whether it's motivated by fear or deep desire. I had a vision board up, a life that I wanted to live that I just obsessed over every single day, but also it just didn't come by accident, right? I knew as I started to go in my life and accidentally find these mentors. When I started my insurance agency, a light bulb went off where it was like, I can find mentors now. So I started to look, who are the best agents in the country? I'm going to visit them, and that's exactly what I did. I had phone calls with them, I visited them, and then just modeled my machine after what the best were already doing, and then innovated it and ran 100 miles an hour. So that's what I did, the formula to get my insurance agency going. It's a simple but not easy formula, hard work and the right mentorship and the right.
It's hard work,
but it's consistent, right? A good mentor always told me that the key to anything in life is, faith, consistency, and then putting in the work. And he would tell me this parable, Tim Storey, about the farmer mentality. What does a farmer have to do to be great? They got to work hard, they got to have faith, and they got to be consistent. And what do is they got to plow their field first. They got to plant the seed every single day. And then after they do that, they got to have tremendous faith because they got to water that field every single day, sometimes for weeks and months, almost a year, before they ever see the fruits of their labor come before the surface. And I think we live in a world where this has taught us for instant gratification. Get everything overnight. And if it doesn't come overnight, I'm going to stop. I'm going to be inconsistent, but that's now how anything great comes, just like the farmer mentality, compounded day after day of hard work is what leads to a harvest of abundance. But if that farmer loses faith and gets frustrated and doesn't show up 1 or 2 days and he forgets to water, what happens? The whole crop dies and everything. And that's the exact same thing in a startup in business. And I think consistency in your business. Yeah. And then before I move on real quick, back to becoming my hero's hero, That was probably one of the proudest moments of my life. I cashed that check. I took my parents on every inner circle trip that I went on, multiple vacations, bought my mom and dad their first brand new Cadillac, take care of their bills. And then just recently, in the past 2 years, it was one of the most gratifying things ever. I moved them to Sarasota, Florida, and I bought them their brand new retirement home 20 minutes away
Come
from
on.
us.
That's awesome, dude. Kudos to you. Hand clap in the
Good shit.
comments for everybody down in that.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
man.
I mean, come on, man. It's truly inspiring.
I keep hearing kind of a burn the ships mentality.
So there's
Right.
no other. And I think I didn't know that at first. I was forced in a situation that made me burn the ships, because looking back, and the alternative was so direly drastic. At the time, what I thought was destroying my life, it was God putting me in the fire to step up into something bigger. And I look at everything from my health challenges to everything. It was just him preparing me for something grander. And then even my health challenges, I'll go back to mentors. I started seeking out mentors. Doctors are telling me, they had me on all these dangerous meds. They were ripping up my stomach. I was getting sicker and sicker. So I'm doing this and building these big businesses with really bad health. And I needed to do something differently. So I started taking some of the money and the wealth I built and obsessing on health. Because if we don't take care of our health, later on in life, you will spend your wealth trying to get back your health. I learned that the hard way. And so I went doctor after doctor after doctor, found a doctor out of Washington, D.C. that did all types of blood work testing, gut testing, heavy metal testing, put me on a specific diet protocol. And for the first time, got it to go in remission. Went about a year like that, and then had another major setback. And I actually, this was not too long ago, had this setback. They put me on meds, which I didn't want to be on, but I had to be on them for a while. And it suppressed my immune system. I ended up getting an infection, became septic, was in the hospital. And then just a couple years ago, they said 2 days if I waited to come into the hospital, it would have killed me. So I've battled with my health ever since, during that, pushing through it, still keeping the diet, the supplements. And then after another 18 months of being super sick, I just got sick of being sick again. I built a bigger team of all these doctors around me, got on a super strict supplement protocol, started eating just carnivore diet. This might not be for everybody, but I eat a dozen eggs in the morning, a pound of grass-fed beef for lunch, and a pound of grass-fed beef for dinner. No carbs, under 20 carbs a day. I've been doing that for the past over 120 days now, working out every single day. I bought a cold plunge I do every day, a PEMF mat, infrared sauna, hyperbaric oxygen chamber. I just invested heavily into my health, did this stuff every day, obsessing over it.
Right.
And I'm sitting here before you today, probably one of the best shape I've ever been. I'm 50% better symptom-wise. My digestion is like back on track, like perfect again. The skin color is coming back in me. And I say that again, like, just think about the theme here. I say all that to say this, because the theme, whether it's in our business, our relationships, our health, there's always a mentor out there that's got another way than the average. There's the force of mediocrity around us every way. There's the teachers that are labeling us, we're not going to be good enough, that you have to go in this box. There's the doctors that are labeling us, well, the only way is to get this Pfizer $4,000 dangerous, drug that's going to cure your symptoms that we're going to have you on for life. That's the only way. And there's all these things around us. And I think what we got to do is see through that white noise sometimes, because when we see through it and we look for alternate solutions, there's always somebody that found a different path. And if you follow them through the woods using the compass and the roadmap they have, that in any area of your life, from your relationship to your health to your wealth, I think you can find a better way. So, after that, I sold my insurance agency, and then it was like, hey, what do I do next? So, what we did next, we got back into the insurance business with a partner. We actually built it bigger than I did before. We also started a staffing and recruiting company, which is the number one staffing and recruiting company in the insurance space, Team Hired. Became a strategic partner with Ricochet and a part of that company now, and scaled Ricochet Software CRM. We actually
OG Ricochet, baby. I was y'all's first ever independent agent on that bad boy, baby.
Back in the day, the OG. We recently developed a software for hiring and training we're going to launch. That's an automation that puts your hiring and training on autopilot with AI built into it.
Mm.
And then I started, one of my mentors, I was watching Bobby Castro, and he taught to stack and rack. Start stacking your cash, putting into real estate, and built up a $15 million real estate portfolio, some commercial real estate, and 8, 9 Airbnbs that I have all the way up and down the East Coast that we stay at and rent out when we're not staying at them, because I wanted to start building businesses that I was passionate about that were life by design businesses. So I built that business of like, hey, how cool it is. We stay at the lake. This place pays for itself. I bought the house for $500, put 30 grand into it, added 1,500 square feet, increased the value of the property by 50% within 90 days, cash out, refied it. I was in with no money down, mortgage $2,200 a month, and I'm renting it out for $700-800 a night. Literally in the peak season, I triple whatever my net operating expenses on that property. And then I can stay in it anytime I want with my family, and we block out whole months. We go down there and chill and hang on the lake. I like cars. So what I did is I just recently bought a BMW i8, a couple Corvettes, and we started a Turo business in Florida. We're like renting those out so I could drive cool cars and then turn that into a passion business that we're doing. But all along the way, impact has been my thing. I've had a huge passion for just impacting the lives of others. All of our companies.
Can you talk about the Field of Dreams part, the thing that you guys did for that family?
Yeah.
I thought that was, as far as, and you're segueing into impact. I think is such a cool story.
Yeah. I'll give you the Cliff Notes version of that. But I had a dream with my mentor, and it hasn't come to fruition yet. But I feel like God talks to me a lot, and I try to listen. And I had an idea for a reality TV show, which is called Extreme Getaways, kind of like an extreme home makeover, but for families that can't afford to get away and make memories together. And I was telling my mentor, Tim Storey, that was connected to a lot of celebrities in Hollywood, imagine this show, you find people in need, they don't have the money or they don't have the time to build family memories. And within a blink, life can be over and you miss the best moments with your kids. What if we found out their deepest likes, interests, and passions and gave them epic getaways that just gave them memories for the next decade or lifetime to come? So he's like, oh, I love that idea. We should do a sizzle reel. I'm like, well, how about that? And he goes, the only problem is, Dave, is you don't have experience in the industry. They don't know if you could pull off running a show. I'm like, well, why don't I just invest and run a show? So I actually hired the film crew from American Pickers. I put together a whole show myself. I branded it myself. It's Extreme. We still got the pitch deck up. We're trying to get it out there. ExtremeGetaway.com. And I found a law enforcement family that was local, that was working around the clock, serving our community, missing all his kids' baseball games, never seeing family. And we nominated them, brought them down to a minor league baseball stadium, and announced that in what led up to this, why I did the Field of Dreams, I had a big passion about baseball growing up as a kid. It was my favorite movie because I remember the dad playing catch, and I always wanted to have that moment with my dad always. And but I woke up one day when I was trying to think, what are we going to make for the theme of the show? And I kid you not, 3 signs happened in my feed. Somebody had shared, and the movie's it's not existed at this point, but somebody had shared, hey, this is your favorite movie, Field of Dreams, and it popped up in my feed. And then I go and I look at the Apple iTunes store, and for some reason the Field of Dreams movie was top ranked up there. And I God summoned his voice and said, if you build it, they will come. And right on the other side of the screen, so behind me it says Go the Distance, because that's going to be the name of my book, and that's from that movie. On the other side, which you can't see, there's a big sign that says, if you build it, they will come. And those are reminders of my faith, that if I build it and I set the table, the right people will show up if I make the right table. Go the distance. Right. Sometimes it takes going the distance in life further than anybody else is willing to go to get to where we want to be. Mm-hmm. And so I decided, hey, we're going to make this baseball theme. We brought them down, did a whole show on the field of this minor league baseball stadium that we had locally. And then we announced to them, congratulations, you're nominated. We're going to send you off for an all-inclusive trip to where they filmed the Field of Dreams. Kevin Costner. We're going to shut down the field and allow your family to experience that movie experience. But then we had the dad in on it and told the kids and the mom, well, he just said, I can't get off of work. So we told the family we're just going to fly them down. Unfortunately, as sad as it is, Dad can't make it. but we arranged behind the scenes. Dad came on a separate flight. We went to the field, had it shut down for us. And I'll tell you, it's just like in the movie. That eerie feeling you get, feeling like heaven is on the other side of the corn. It literally felt spiritual in that sense. It felt that way. And we had Dad hidden in the cornfield when the kids showed up. And when we were playing catch, I overthrew the ball. And then all of a sudden, Dad slowly walks out of the corn and mimics that iconic scene where Dad gets to have the catch with the son on the field. And it was pretty cool. I flew my dad down, and we created that scene as well.
It's so amazing.
But we brought in like a giant movie theater screen, massive, like 30 foot tall. We watched the movie The Field of Dreams on the Field of Dreams, had a private tour at Kevin Costner's house, got one of them that played Ray in the movie to do a video for us, and just made it all encompassed epic and just blew it away. And we got it on camera, did a scissor reel, and now we're pitching. We've been pitching Hollywood, but I'm trying to find somebody. When you go in, you have to work with a producer. Only problem that I'm facing in Hollywood is I will not work with somebody, and I will not, for any show, any fame, I will not deteriorate from my core values, my Christian beliefs. And there's a lot of people out there that I have to go through them and partner with them, but they're not in an alignment with where I'm at. And, so the project has stayed where it's at because I haven't found that perfect person in the perfect place, because I refuse to, to give up who I am. And unapologetically, they say, "Oh, Dave, you got to not post what you post on social media. That's there." I'm like, "Well, I don't care." So that's
absolutely, baby.
I'm going to say what I have to say. I'm going to stand up for what I believe in. And I believe if more people did that in our country, we wouldn't be in the place that we're in.
It's because you're trying to make an impact, right? I mean, think about that kid's freaking the impact on his life. And that's why I wanted you to share that story, because the impact that kid had even on you, and being able to experience that moment with your father for the first time. I mean, the impact there. And then obviously now that's, hey, I am not saying sorry for being, I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to bend over backwards for something that I don't believe in, right? Because you're trying to make an impact. And I think that's the perfect segue into everything that you're doing with Elevate. And so just kind of talk about that purpose and that passion, but ultimately where you're making your impact, or where you want to make your impact now.
Yeah, so I believe this is what I want to be my legacy. So I always had a passion for purpose, and all of our companies in some way, shape, or form, we integrated impact, and I challenge everybody else out there. A mentor of mine, Cole Hatter, taught me this, that a lot of times we say we don't have the time, we don't have the money to give back, but you can integrate that into your brand. Tom Shoes is a good example. Tom Shoes, one of the biggest shoe companies out there, but what made them explode is the moment they decided to be an impact for purpose brand. And what Tom Shoes did is they said, you know what, we're going to increase the cost of our shoes by $5. And for every pair of shoes that we sell, we're going to gift a pair of shoes to some kid overseas that doesn't have any. Their brand blew up. The impact was there. It didn't cost them anything because they just raised their net COGS by $5, and they became one of the biggest shoe brands that are out there. So I try to do that with all of our businesses, whether we're recruiting, we're giving back to veterans, providing free services, polishing them, how they appear on interviews. Same thing with at-risk youth. But this year, I was sitting down with my life coach, Tim Storey, who was mentoring me, that Cole Hatter introduced me to. And I had the idea, a light bulb went off. I'm like, all these spots that I talked about today, like it was always a who moment. It was never anything else than a who moment that led me to the next place in my life. And a lot of those were by accident, but then I started to figure out I could intentionally create who moments.
Moment. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, like the person that gets involved in your life, or that you come across, or that you meet.
The person gets involved in your life, whether it's a close, they say you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself, you surround yourself with that person, or you intentionally have that person mentor you that has been to all the places that you want to go, that might take you 10 years to get there, but because they know like all the curves and twists and the roadmap, they can get you there in maybe 12 months rather than wasting 10 years of your life to do it. So I started creating who moments, hiring mentors. And I've spent probably $500,000 at this point in mentorship, in private mentoring, and going to conferences and going to summits. And that really elevated my life, allowed me to get into a lot of these different things. And I was sitting with my mentor here, and I said, imagine if I was thinking about all these kids. I was thinking about statistics in the world. 1.3, like we're in America, greatest country on earth, and I still believe that to be the truth. We are the greatest country on earth, and we have 1.3 million homeless youth. We have over 30% of our kids in school that are being medicated. We have all these kids going off the beaten path in life, being taught the opposite, not knocking school, but there's a lot of opportunity when it comes to kids' education in America. And then we have the survey with a kid graduating high school is over 90% of them feel ill prepared for life and scared. And then you wonder why, they're going down. And I'm not knocking college. I think college is awesome. You want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, but some kids are literally putting themselves in debt for $200,000 for a liberal arts degree that's not going to help them make money in life. There's
Right.
going to be no net ROI because why? They were never taught an ROI. And they're going there because they're afraid to start life because high school didn't prepare them there. So they're going to college with the wrong reasons. So I fully support higher
Preach.
education, but do it for the right reasons with the right intention.
Intention.
Where you're going to get a net ROI, because here's what happens. We go after the American dream, right? But what do? We fall into the debt trap. So instead, we're chasing this dream. I want to get my brand new house for my family. I want to take these vacations. I want to get a new car, and I'm going to pay off my education. Well, guess what? Now you don't have any money left, and you're going paycheck to paycheck. That's one of the reasons we started the Elevate experience, because we want to teach kids a different way. Do all those things. But you know what? Instead of buying the first home, maybe what you do is you use the home buying program to go no money down and buy your first investment property, live in one half, Airbnb or rent out the other half, turn it into a $3,000 a month positive, not a liability, and now use the passive income from that to pay for your Mercedes if you want it. But don't be in the trap where you got to get up every single day just to try to survive like every other Americans. And then that's what we're seeing is up to the age of 25, it's literally staggering. 75, 80% of youth have subprime credit scores. They are living paycheck to paycheck. And that, to me, that is not a utmost life. That's an almost life that people get stuck into. And we want to teach them another way.
Right.
So this is my legacy. So we decided to create, with the encouragement of my mentor, and now he's my business partner in the project, Tim Storey, the first of its kind mastermind for kids and their families. So it's for everybody. The parents are involved. The kids are involved. 2 calls a week or 2 calls a month. Bringing in some of the best speakers, because we know it's tough to excite kids.
So good.
So we want to excite them by influencing them with influencers and celebrities that teach them these dynamics. Because sometimes, you know what, there's a lot of awesome parents on this call that I'm sure are already teaching their kids. But I know with me, when I was growing up, you hear mom and dad say something. Sometimes it's one ear
Right.
out the other. But now all of a sudden, Eric Thomas or Tim Storey says the same thing. It clicks finally, and it reinforces it. So we're trying to step in and fill the gaps where maybe kids don't have the parent and the figure. And then the kids that do, just try to partner with parents to reinforce those principles. And then we're thinking, how do we launch this thing and kick it off and get the word out? We're like, you know what? Let's do the first of its kind, free 2-day live event with all the most amazing speakers in the world, performers, and impact some lives together. But let's go big. Let's do a Guinness World Record around financial literacy and education. So that's where we're doing the Elevate experience before we kick off the 5th Degree Academy. And it's the 18th and the 19th of August from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time each day. And then on the 19th, that's a day that nobody on this call wants to miss. And I would be internally grateful for every one of you, because it'll help me kick off my legacy. And it will make certain that not a child leaves there with disappointment and they get their certificate. Because we got to go after, I want to go after 10,000 humans. And that's where I need everybody's help, helping me evangelize, because I can't do it on my own. 10,000 people on this call is what we're aiming for. It's worldwide, it's virtual, it's free. But everybody that shows up, just for going to www.elevate.kids, and if anybody could do that right now, that'd be amazing. That would put your name and every other person you plan to attend with you in the Guinness World Record database. And that's elevate.kids. And then when we do that, we're going to have a live Zoom that can handle up to 50,000 people on the 19th at 3 p.m. Guinness officiator is going to be there. And Eric Thomas is going to bring down the house and kick off the world record. And we have a 4-hour window to get as many people logged into Zoom as possible and put comments in the chat. The Guinness officiator is going to record each one of them for that to set that world record that we're going to do. And the speaker lineup, we've been super blessed with that, the outpouring of support. not only we got Tim Storey, the comeback coach, celebrity life coach, worked with Oprah, Robert Downey Jr., Eric Thomas, one of the top motivational speakers in the world. He charges $100,000 an hour for his time with the NFL, NBA. It's going to be bringing down the house. We got Dilnil Delgado, female powerhouse. Gloria Mayfield Banks. She was the #1 Mary Kay saleswoman out of 3.5 million reps and the first African-American female to hold that spot. We got Jimmy Dart, social media influencer.
Oh, I forgot you said that the other night. I forgot. That's sick, man.
So he's friends with Mr. Beast, and we're going to be going live together. He's during the 2 weeks up to it. He's friends with Mr. Beast, does a lot of impact things, walking into Walmart, giving people $10,000, and he's a part of it. We got David Meltzer, that the movie Jerry Maguire was based off of. Legacy Perez from Do You Think You Could Dance? We got brand specialist Mark Lack. He's currently working with Floyd Mayweather, Mike Tyson, a lot of Justin Bieber on some pretty exciting projects. He's coming into it. And we just got an amazing lineup. Paul Getter, we got an amazing lineup of people that are going to be there that are just going to pour into everybody. And we got some surprise speaker, and and Jim Quick, the brain coach, Jim Quick, best-selling author of Limitless.
Yes,
he's going to be there too, teaching kids about how his
journey
growing up being labeled just like me with a broken brain, couldn't learn. Well, now he teaches, after coming through and busting through those labels, he teaches kids how to speed learn and learn differently, because when he was a kid, I believe he was dyslexic and he had learning disabilities like me, but he taught himself to learn a different way that exploded his career, and he impacts youth now across the country. That's sick. We got some other surprise speakers, and then we're hoping, fingers crossed, surprise performer. I'll just put a little teaser out there. I'm not promising, but we've been in conversations with Busta Rhymes and Lecrae. And both.
And Lecrae too. Sick.
So we're trying to get somebody to come in for some performance in between speakers. We're giving things away to kids because I know it's tough to get kids' attention for 5 hours. So we're giving away some great prizes during all of this as well. It's going to be super, super cool. It's free. It's totally free. No strings attached. And it's just really what I'm trying to do is reach. I'm literally going from 4:30 in the morning every day to like midnight, calling, trying to reach organizations I can get this out to, sporting teams I can get it out to, just to impact. Because the reason why my number is 10,000, I want to at least have that, is because we got the stage here to impact lives. And I know there's going to be a kid out there that might be thinking about ending their life, might be thinking about joining a gang. In law of large numbers, this event will save lives. And
absolutely.
That's what I ask is, like, you helping me with this will save kids' lives.
Yep.
So anybody you can get to attend, feel free to even PM me, davidwilliams@teamhire.com. If you know any organizations, it's just something very near and dear to my heart, because that's what I'm aiming to do. We don't want to just elevate kids, but we want to stop kids from becoming statistics. We want to fight back on what's going on in the world right now, and make, you look at it, what one person could do in this world. Look at Mother Teresa. There could be a kid out there that doesn't have a dad, because there's going to be a lot of at-risk youth coming in too, Boys and Girls Club. And he could very easily drift down the wrong path, but with the right guidance, imagine if law of large numbers, you touch enough kids and impact enough kids, one of them could be the next Mother Teresa and change our society and world as we know it. And I believe that's our duty and obligation. Everybody on this call, I think we have an American mandate right now. Like, we live in the greatest country on earth. And I look at, we're teaching our kids to fly 700 different flags. And you can be passionate about your cause. It's free speech. Have a flag that you stand for, whatever it is. That's cool. But you know what we should all be doing is recognizing that the one flag, the one with the red, white, and blue stripes and the stars on it, that is meant for every one of us. And when we stand underneath that flag together, united we stand, divided we fall. It's when we all stand together as a community in everything that we do, and we lead by example with personal excellence, that's what allows other people to rise above us, and we start to operating as a community and impacting as a community. I believe that's our American mandate. You don't have to start an education program like I'm doing, but it could be something that's in your heart. And imagine if every one of the 367 million Americans out there took what was in their heart and they went at it with full force to impact the world. Man, we wouldn't be talking about these politicians every day. We wouldn't be watching the news and saying, oh, we're waiting for our savior. Since when has the media or a politician been our savior? You know what our savior is? Look around in your community. Like, to build big things in life, if you look at the history of this country, it was built with these. It was built by the hands of everybody within it, and it took a village to get us here, and it's going to take us a village to get out, and that's what's going to set the precedent for the kids of our future to live like thriving and dynamic lives, because every kid, the majority, the probability of a kid graduating, going out there, of just surviving is very, very high. It's like you go into the debt trap, you're paycheck to paycheck, and you're in survival mode. But we have the ability to go out there and create a different narrative and cause kids to go out in life and thrive. And now, even if you have 10% of those kids that are thriving, what are they doing? They're thriving, they're creating, they're impacting other humans. And like, that's really, at the end of the day, how we become the greatest, even more greatest country on earth.
More.
Absolutely.
How we elevate, right? How we get to that next level.
I love
elevate contest. We gotta elevate kids.
I absolutely love what you're doing. It's extremely inspiring, extremely moving. It's a little teary-eyed as well, because the truth is, like, right now we're in this really weird space, and especially in our country, that unfortunately we do stand divided. We don't stand united right now. We stand divided, and if we continue down that path, then unfortunately we're going to fall united.
No,
right?
100%.
All you got to do is flip that script, which sucks. I think you're going to blow 10,000 out of the water, personally.
No, I appreciate that.
I don't think you're going to have any problem with that. I know you have our support. I know you have everybody that's watching this show's support. So we'll continue to put it out there.
Oh, and Melissa just commented she's going to reach out to her school system about this, and that's
amazing.
That's what I want to put out there. Is I want a call to action here, guys, and especially even if you're catching the replay, this is still a call to action to you guys as well. Is that if you are connected with a community center, if you're connected really with a church, like for me, I'm involved with youth at my church, right? Obviously, it applies to that as well. Boys and girls, you name it. If you are involved with anything where there are youth that could benefit from this, your call to action is reach out to me. That or Dave, if you want to take maybe just the last couple seconds here before we wrap up, what's the best way for people to reach out to you, or to make sure all of that is being facilitated if they are connected in that way?
This is so important to me. I'll give my personal cell phone in the chat. It's 585-317-1168. Anybody that gets behind and support it, I promise to make it something you're proud to be a part of. Like, you and your kids will get a Guinness certificate, and I'm working around the clock, so anybody opportunities that send my way, I'll talk with them and try to set something up. But my cell phone is 585-317-1168. My email is just davidwilliams@teamhired.com. And I'm just super grateful for everybody that's lighting up the chat, willing to help, because it is a big help. Like, that's the only way we can reach that big a number, is like, me just going around the clock on the phones like I'm doing can go so far, but it's like when I get other people to evangelize, that's super grateful for it. And anybody that helps any way I can repay, I'm happy to do so.
Everybody knows my favorite saying. You guys can put it in the comments, right? But hey, you want to go fast, do it alone, but you want to run far, do it with freaking others, man. And so I think, obviously everything that you're about, David, like we're backing you, man. You talked about having the platform, and I know, guys, we're running a little long, but it's been amazing. And again, it's almost kind of a selfish treat for myself, dude. We'll have to do this again, maybe not take a whole year to get back to it, but we have a platform, right? And even if it's just in even not to say remove, but remove elevate, right? I'm talking just to you, anybody that is watching this, right? There is one, I promise you, there is at least one person watching you. And everybody, they're looking for that mentor, right? They're looking. So just don't think that you don't have a platform, because I promise you that you do. You going into work, you having a peer, a colleague, a friend, a family member, whatever it is, you have the platform as well to change somebody's life, right? I don't care if you've got a huge following or a badass camera and backdrop like Dave does. Like, you have the platform, and a lot of the platform, right? It really comes from these. Like you just go to work, right? And I promise you that you can impact lives. Man, this has been so amazing, dude. I could keep going. I know for sure we'll make sure and blast this out for you. Man, it's been awesome, dude.
Anybody else, because other people have been asking me too. I got a passion for kids. How do I be more involved too? Eventually, we're going to launch chapters in cities across America, and people can head up chapters to help grow this out, because we're going to go all in on this, building out this educational movement. We're going to start doing 5-day challenges after this Guinness event. But really, we're focused on this Guinness event to change some hearts and minds, use the momentum of it, use all these people that literally, this is my first event ever. So a lot of people are putting their trust in me too. And by hitting that and impacting the lives at that level, that will give them the confidence to want to continue the impact. And I look at, for that reason alone, that 10,000 number is not just 10,000. That's over 1 million future kids that we could impact, with everybody rallying behind it and creating the biggest educational movement in the history of our country.
Let's go. Come on. Take us, close us out, Tony. This is so freaking good. I won't shut up, so you're going to have to.
Well, they call the show Winning on Wednesday. It's not whining on Wednesday. It's winning on Wednesday. And this is the second time Mr. Dave Williams has joined us. We're extremely grateful. This has been probably one of the best episodes we've ever shot, especially from just an inspirational standpoint. You look at adversity versus challenge, and that always breeds opportunity. And Dave said it best, and obviously emulates it very well. And what I love the most is that he could easily be very selfish and greedy and self-congratulatory about everything that he's done. But no, what is he doing? He's pushing it forward to impact other young people, to give them similar opportunities that he's taken advantage of. So kudos to you, Dave. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're here every Wednesday, 9 a.m. live. And we look forward to seeing you on the next Winning on Wednesday.
It's the peak of the week, baby. Let's go out there. Let's leave an impact. But then my last bit that I'm going to leave with y'all is that it's never too late to work freaking hard. So we really appreciate you guys. Get out there. Let's work hard.
It's also never too late to ask for help. Working hard and asking for help.
Come on now. I love it. Hey, shout out to Syndicate members. Everybody have an amazing week. We'll talk to y'all later.